My Knicks family, what is popping? We just having a conversation in here because, well, let me tell you the story. This man, Isaiah, you guys know he came to my house last weekend. He decided he was going to cook for the family, which was a very gracious, whatever you want to call it, whatever the word is. I can't think of the call, right? Gift, yeah. He almost burnt down my house, though. No. You did. He almost burnt down the house. Isaiah almost burnt down the house. Isaiah, well, let me tell the story, then you can tell your lies.
Here we go, because he's gonna be.
All right, let me tell the story, then you can tell your lies.
All right, you go
boom.
first.
So boom, we out. You know, we slaving out there, and I don't want to use the word slave. We working hard out there in the sun. You know what I'm saying? It's sweating and this and that. You know, Isaiah, he claims to wake up early in the morning. I wake up. No. Shush, be quiet. I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning every day. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna get up in the morning. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna season up the chicken so it's ready. You know what I mean? And then I'll be ready to go. I'll be ready to go, you know, finish the court, do whatever we gotta do. So I woke up, let me see, we had to be to court at 10. I wake up, I go to where Isaiah is, 9:15. Isaiah is knocked out. Right? Knocked out. I'm like, yo, I thought you got up early. Yo, I did. I went back to sleep. I was like, did you season the chicken? No.
What?
Right? No. So he didn't get up. Maybe he got up and went to the bathroom and went back to sleep. So maybe he counts that as waking up. All right, so that's the first thing. So, you know, we go out, we do the court, we do all of that kind of stuff.
You see this?
You know what I'm saying? We're on the court. He's talking about he needs knee pads because, you know, his knees hurt and all that kind of stuff. Right? Right? Because his knees hurt and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we get back. He starts cooking the chicken. All right? He's cooking the chicken up. All right? And while it's cooking, my house just starts getting cloudy. And I'm like, why is my house getting cloudy? Right? And you know, it's going. It was smelling good. I'll give it to you. It's going. Next thing you know, the whole house, you can't see in the house. Right? The house, we gotta open up all the windows before we get smoke inhalation disease or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
We just making up diseases now. Okay.
The whole house is just gray. My alarm goes off, and I don't have a quiet alarm. Like all my neighbors can hear my alarm is loud. You know what I'm saying? The alarm goes off, it's going loud. The people call my, you know, security system to make sure everything's all right. I have an alarm. I've been living in this house since 2006. This alarm, Andy, has never, ever went off. Ever. I'm not even sure this alarm works for real. But there was so much smoke, it had no choice but to work. I think the batteries are dead. If I go check it right now, if I go light a match to it right now, it will not go off. But there was so much smoke in the house from Isaiah that this alarm went off, an alarm that has not gone off ever, probably. I've been living here since 2006. That's 14 years, and it's never went off. This man almost burnt down the house because he put it on 500 degrees. He's baking the chicken on 500 degrees. Not only is he baking it on 500 degrees, right? When he puts it in the oven, you know you got the racks in the oven, right? You know what I'm saying? So you're supposed to move the rack so it fits nicely. I look in the oven, and the top rack is laying on top of the chicken. I'm like, Isaiah, you got to move the rack so that it's not touching the chicken. What are you doing? Oh, I mean, the recipe said. The recipe told you to put the rack on top of the chicken? 480 degrees, man. Almost burnt down the house.
All right, okay.
We had to eat the chicken. We had to eat the chicken with masks on.
Oh, my
with masks on so that we didn't breathe in so much smoke. But I will say it was very good. It was very good. I got to give him that. It was very good.
Isaiah Wallace.
All right.
Isaiah.
Are you done?
Isaiah, listen.
Are you done?
Hey,
It's nothing but the truth.
Isaiah, listen, man. When you get down here, you are not allowed in the kitchen. I'm just telling you that right now. When you get there, you know you're welcome. You know you my man, 50 grand. But hey, you can't even walk by our kitchen.
Hey, Andy, are you ready for the real version?
Oh boy, go ahead. What's the real version? That is the real version, but go ahead.
Look, I woke up at 5 o'clock
in the afternoon.
I woke up. I did wake up at like 6 or 7.
Yeah, stop lying.
Wait.
Go ahead. I'm not gonna interrupt. Go ahead.
Let's just say Sim got a patio house. I was in the guest room like Stedman and Oprah.
He was in the studio.
I was in the guest. No,
he was in the studio.
Listen, people, he has a mansion. I told you, he has a Muslim bodyguard. 6 cars.
Hey, but you know what? I mean, we were at Home Depot buying the paint, and somebody from the Fruits of Islam stopped by and was like, you know, Farrakhan is speaking on July 4th, on the 4th of July.
Gimmo. You know we joke about him getting the ring kiss? Everybody kissed Sim's ring. Every time I went somewhere, yo, they was giving Sim money. They was like, yo, Sim, we got a thing you got to come to this morning. He's like, I got you, brother. Yo, everybody kissing Sim ring, man.
I have no idea what this dude's talking about. Anyway, go ahead, tell your story, man. Tell your story.
Let me tell the real version. The real version of the story. Listen, I woke up at 5 o'clock military hour. I woke up. Listen, did I go back to sleep? Yes. I did go back to sleep. I used the bathroom. I went back to sleep. So it's probably 9:45-ish. You
slept 5 more hours. You slept 5 more hours.
Hold up. We were supposed to be at the court at 10 o'clock. It takes about 10 minutes to get from my house to the court, right? We didn't, because I had to wake Isaiah up late. Me and my daughter was sitting at the table. We're waiting for Isaiah. It's 9:55. We're like, Isaiah, we are going to be late. We supposed to be at the court.
Hey, listen, Andy, you're gonna learn something when you get to America. Black people are late. I'm just joking. But no, look, all right.
He said to Andy like Andy ain't never seen a black person before. Andy ain't never seen a black person.
Hey, listen, listen, right? But you know what? He told me I got in the super mode. I seasoned chicken. I got ready, and we went to the court. Mind you, Sim said it's gonna be 30 people out there. The community gonna come together. It was 5 people.
No, I said it was gonna be 15 people out there. We had 8. We had 8 people. We had 8. We had 8, right? And we had 2 of them that wasn't doing no work. And guess who's one of them?
Oh, no, brother. You're not going to do that to me.
Look, man, these people come here to talk Knicks, man.
It was Rico and those little girls that wasn't doing the work. I was doing all the work. It was me. But look, right? So, all right. We do the court. Okay, I did mention the knee pads because it was hot. I ain't want my knees to burn up. I did mention the knee pads. I ain't gonna lie. All right, so look, man. Later on the night, I told Sim, I'm gonna cook for the family, because he let me stay. I broke in the house, but he let me stay. So I cooked for the kids, the dogs. I cooked for everybody. The recipe said 500 degrees. I like to follow the recipe. That's the kind of person I am. I put it in the oven. Did I take the rack off? No, because I wanted that little charcoal, little taste, a little flavor, wanted a little charcoal, little flavor. So look, it started smoking up.
So Gregory Castillo just said, if you want to keep Isaiah quiet, just mention his wife.
Shut up. Shut up.
This story is going absolutely nowhere.
Shut up.
So, let's talk about the Knicks, man, because Isaiah's lying. So let's just talk about the Knicks.
Let's talk about the Knicks. Not coming back because you always want to twist these stories.
Let's talk about the Knicks.
We got this dude with a I don't know, he's a gladiator warrior. looking like he about to go fight some tigers and shit. So.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
This is why MBK. This is why MBK the best show, man. This is how we start off the show.
This guy. Anyway, look. The New York
man.
Knicks. There's not a lot of New York Knicks news, but we're going to talk about whatever we could talk about anyway. All right, maybe we'll get back to some more stories. I got a whole lot of stories I can tell you about Isaiah.
Oh my God!
Whole lot of
This is why I don't like
some of them
with
that
this
he
dude.
don't want me to tell, but you know,
Oh,
I ain't gonna tell you. I ain't gonna tell you.
oh Lord.
God.
So apparently, the NBA is considering having a Chicago bubble in September, right? For voluntary mini camps / scrimmages, some games and stuff like that. And they had a conference call, and the only team that was not on the conference call was the New York Knicks. Right? Instead of being on the conference call, they interviewed Jason Kidd and Will Hardy, two of their 11 candidates. So first, let's talk about this whole thing with a Chicago bubble, you know, where teams can go and have mini camps, scrimmages, games, whatever they're going to have. First of all, I don't think they should be, this whole thing already is just a mess.
Yep.
It's a mess. You know what I'm saying? You got now in LA, they had to shut down the Clippers practice facility because COVID-19. I don't know. Where do they?
And Miami also.
Where do they think this is going to work? I'm just not getting
Sam,
it.
I'm gonna be real with you, Sam. I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of weeks if we hear that the NBA is canceled, because what's going on right now? This is just like you said. This is a complete mess. Like, you know, we have what now it's 18 or 25 players for COVID. I mean, are we just waiting for LeBron James to get it just to cancel it? This is just getting ridiculous. You got players that don't want to play because of the protest. You have players that, you know, like Bradley Beal's situation where, no, not Bradley Beal, Avery Bradley, where his kid is, you know, sick, so he doesn't want to go. I mean, Sam, this is just not. It's just we all understand the bottom line is they need to make their promises to the TV people for the deal, but this is getting ridiculous. And like you know, it's gonna take LeBron James getting the virus for them to be like, okay, we got to cancel the season because we just lost our number one ticket. It's just getting crazy, man. And then, you know, I see some people like trying to kill the Knicks because they didn't want to do it because they don't have a head coach. I mean, it's stupid right now. So all this is just a mess.
Were they killing us on ESPN or something?
I seen some. I didn't see ESPN, which is actually shocking. I didn't see ESPN, but I seen on Bleacher Report, like, you know, people they made a report about it, and it was like the only team that didn't want to do it was the Knicks, and you know, you got people like commenting on it saying like this is the Knicks and all that, but it doesn't make sense because why would you agree to something when you don't even have a head coach? We don't even have a coach to go out there and, you know, all this stuff, and we don't know like who's going to be there. It's just a complete mess right now.
Well, I mean, as far as that, the Knicks would, if Leon Rose is correct, or, you know, if he's true to his word, he said that the Knicks will have a head coach hired by the end of July. But even if they didn't, they would just use Mike Miller. He's still the interim head coach. They would just use Mike Miller. And just because the Knicks didn't participate on the call, I don't think that means that they're against playing in Chicago. I don't think it means that. It's just that, you know, of course, the media is going to, you know, Bleacher, I don't know if it was on ESPN, but Bleacher Report, whoever else, you know, is going to be like, hey, the only people that wasn't on the call is the Knicks. Of course they're going to do that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it means that they don't want to be there. I don't know if I would at this point, though. Honestly, if I'm one of the players, if I'm any of the players of the New York Knicks or any of the teams that they call, you know, the Delete Eight, from any of the Delete Eight, why? Really, why? I mean, I understand that the teams, you know, want to try to help keep these guys in shape and stuff like that. But why take the chance? Why take the chance?
Yeah, what's the benefit of
what's going to be
playing against the other 8 teams as opposed to maybe practicing at your facility and, you know, staying isolated and, you know, staying out of the avoiding the chance that somebody on your staff or the players or the families wind up getting COVID-19 just by going to another city instead of staying isolated in the place that you are. I mean, I understand it from that standpoint, but there's also another standpoint too, though, that as long as other teams are playing at a high level of competition against other teams, it makes those other 22 teams sharper as opposed to the Elite Eight sitting around and practicing against themselves. So I could see it from both sides. I just wouldn't risk it in terms of health because COVID-19 has seen a sharp spike in cases and deaths in 40 states. 80% of the states in the nation have seen spikes in the amount of COVID-19 cases.
Right.
So why go to a city? Why get outside of where you are just to stay sharp competitively when there's an international pandemic going on?
What this really tells me about the CBA contracts? They had nothing in place for force majeure or what they call like extreme events, right?
Right.
And they have to bake that into next season, especially with the NBA contracts, because this is really embarrassing. Where I think they already started spending money on the second bubble.
I seen somebody say that, I don't know if this is true or not. Someone said in the comments, they said they spent $150 million right now.
That's Chicago.
And it's 1.5 to keep it a day. So
if
take that for what you want.
If people get sick, who is the liability on? Would it be on the NBA? Would it be on the TV stations who are forcing, or would it be pressure?
It's definitely not going to be on the TV. It's not going to be on the TV stations, but the players, there is extra insurance. So they've worked out so that the players have some extra insurance, so that if they do get sick or anything like that happens, that insurance covers them financially or whatever.
Sim, I put money on it. This will be a ish. I'm not going to curse, but an ish show if one of their loved ones die. If one of their older loved ones die, all that insurance stuff is going to go out the window.
Of course.
I'm sorry, my bad.
No, I was just saying, of course. No, it don't matter how much insurance or money or whatever. If one of the players brings it home to a loved one and the loved one's the loved one passes away, nothing else matters.
I mean, look at Carl Anthony Towns' mother. She literally died from this.
Right.
And a good point, Isaiah. Some of these players coming back, right? This might sound like conjecture, but the mental state. Are we sure that a lot of these players are even? Because we talk about Carl Anthony Towns. Some of these other role players have family members who passed. I was at the barbershop. One dude said 7 people who died, like 7 people close to him who died. I don't think all family members. Like, how the hell you know 7 people? I believe what he's saying. I'm just saying that it's such an extreme number. Right. So there's some people that their heads might not be into basketball whatsoever. You know what I mean? They come back and you're playing this half-A championship for nothing. And then you have another side. I think they should have used that bubble for the prospects. Have a 2, maybe 3 week thing. Get these prospects back into shape. You can have a true scouting combine. That will actually bring you some numbers because everyone likes to watch the NBA scouting NFL scouting combine. If you had a combine where guys are playing 1-on-1, 5-on-5s, these college prospects, maybe there. And again, some of the same issues also relate to them as well. But I think them trying to force this. I mean, not every other day we're hearing about new cases of these players catching COVID. You know what I mean? And then now they might possibly wear rings in Orlando. Dude,
it's just a mess, man.
You said they might wear what?
Rings, like these rings that track their health and like track if they come out the bubble. And it's ridiculous.
It's just crazy. I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Andy, you got anything to say, brother?
No, for me, it's stupid from the beginning to even, start the bubble league. I would rather cancel the season and start the new season earlier. Try to figure it out to work earlier, not in January or they're trying to start December 1st, right? I don't think that's going to happen if we're going to have, first games of the bubble league postponed. So, I'd rather go that route, and I think that would be better for the money situation for the NBA and the players and everyone around. So,
yeah, I don't know, man. This whole thing is going to be crazy, but July 31st, that's when they start.
Right.
That's when they start. So we'll see how this whole thing is going to work, man. I don't know. I just feel like something. As if we haven't had enough happen in 2020. I feel like something is going to happen when they're there. I really do. I feel like something's going to I really hope that it doesn't, but I feel like something is going to happen.
Right. Sim, I'm telling you right now, Sim, I feel like it's gonna take LeBron James getting it. And
Yeah, Isaiah, we already talked about it. That as long as LeBron has the chances to win a ring, it's going to be on. But the first minute, man, when he goes out of the playoffs or something like that, forget about it. It's done. It's a wrap. So
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be that
You
way.
have to do that when you have your once-in-a-lifetime players. If we were in the Jordan era, Michael Jordan would be the same. It'd be the same thing for Michael Jordan if Michael Jordan was around the same
He
age.
spent 2 years playing baseball.
Let me ask you, do you think if we were in the Jordan era, would Michael Jordan play?
No.
Yes.
yes.
Michael Jordan is the most competitive athlete that any of us have ever seen.
Yeah,
You
but
know what I'm
Michael
saying?
Jordan is not a guy. Michael Jordan wants to play. Not to say that he's had the similar situation, but this is a guy again who could have thrown a fit or whatever. You know, if you take out the fact that some people believe he did this for gambling, whatever, he spent 2 years to play baseball, knowing damn well he was never going to be good in baseball. So it's not as if there's a precedent where he actually did the opposite. You know what I mean? So I if this was like a national, what's the name? And it's like, yo, you can't, you know what I mean? Now, if it's his own physical health and it's not something contagious, obviously we've seen him play through injury and stuff. But if you're talking about something like this,
Nah, you talk about the great manipulator.
Jason
You
Ring.
talk about the great manipulator, Guillermo. The Knicks were up 2-0 in the '93 playoffs, and Michael Jordan had a sprained wrist. John Stark slapped at the ball and hit Jordan on his. Listen.
No, you didn't listen to me. I said his own injury.
Okay, you're right.
I agree with you.
Okay,
I said his
right.
own injury. I said his own injury he'll play through. I just said that. You weren't listening. But I'm saying if it's something that's contagious, if it's a worldwide pandemic, we don't have any precedent to say Michael Jordan would do this. But I said through his own injury, if you could play with one arm and one leg, yes, Michael Jordan would do it. He's a psycho like that. Kobe would do it. But a pandemic like this, just to win a ring, to try to make himself better than someone else, or on someone's else.
No, so we agree partly. My point was when John Stark slapped at the ball, hit him on the wrist. He got Starks kicked out of the game after the fact. They was called a regular foul. He went to the refs and said, throw Starks out the game. They threw Starks out the game. The Bulls won 4 straight and went on to win a 3rd championship. You know, so you're talking about a cat that's so competitive that he'll manipulate anything in order to win. And to ask the question, would Michael Jordan play for a championship even if there was an international pandemic? I think we all know the answer to that. He was selling $200 sneakers to moms that was getting paid $150 a week. You know what I'm saying? This is Michael Jordan we're talking about.
Yeah, I've seen Chris Paul do the same thing that you just said. So if you're talking about competitive within a game, I mean, I don't think other players won't do that. But if you're talking about this, because, again, LeBron James, the reason why he wants to do this is to be on Michael Jordan's level.
Right, and he's 34, 35 years old, and his window is shrinking. So we don't know the next time we'll see a prime LeBron James. So we need to see him in his prime. And then he's got, 2 years left on his Lakers deal? So you're talking about it.
See him with a diminished NBA? If Jordan did this, I would lose respect for Jordan the same way too. But you know, Jordan has not done. Bro, LeBron James is and again. You know who said this? It was Patrick Beverley who said, "Look, if LeBron James say we playing, we playing." And he didn't say that in the most nicest way. He's saying that this is all being run. If LeBron James was not pushing this league would not be going on right now. That's what I'm saying. LeBron James has a pull. He could go in the media. He's had people in the media. This is how Machiavellian LeBron James is. He's had people in the media when Kyrie Irving brought up the whole protest, whatever, right? He had people in the media, all these people who were so-called woke just a moment ago, ish on Kyrie Irving's league and ish on Kyrie Irving, the man himself, just to push people to say, hey, we need to have a league again. That's how maniacal LeBron James is. He has people in the media doing his bidding for him. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that Michael Jordan does not have a competitive edge like that. Or I don't think it's to that level where it's shameless or it'll be shameful. It's like LeBron James, he knows he'll never be there, but he's telling himself, "Oh my, that made me the greatest of all times." Man, shut up! Like, come on, dogs.
Hey, Gilbert.
Would any of you guys feel good winning a chip in this? Would you guys be like, yeah, man, this puts me up there with Bill Russell and them? If you won a chip where 16 players last week, right, or was it 26 or 16, got sick, and another 8 just got revealed to have the. It's like, bro, sitting out. This is not a league. It's not even pickup. What is this?
It don't matter because once your name go on that trophy, it's on there forever. It don't matter.
Hey,
No
Sam,
asterisk is going to go on it.
When Theo Pinson's putting up 26 for the let's see how he'll call us a
hey,
championship.
Sam.
Yo,
Yeah.
Not you, Freezy. This whole ideas.
Man.
go ahead, Isaiah. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Oh no. Yeah, man. Again, man. I just think this is just. I don't like this sim at all, man. Just in general, with all this going on, man. It just at first I liked it. You know, I was excited to get the NBA back, but not like this though, sim. This is too much. You're playing with too many people's health. It's like you know, I think Guillermo said it or whoever said it. They clearly didn't put a disaster thing in their contracts, and it's showing right now because this just feels rushed. It feels money hungry, and it just. I don't know, man.
That's still not fair, though. I mean, you can't predict an international pandemic. I mean, the last one was 100 or so years ago with the Spanish flu. So it's not like they happen every 5 to 10 years where you have, a disaster plan in place for an international pandemic. You know what I'm saying? This is like once in a lifetime type situation where everybody is in a situation where things are unpredictable. So you can't plan to make moves on something where you don't know how it affects society in general. To me, it's not fair to say that everybody was unprepared because we all are and we understand it. It's the reason why we're quarantined right now. But to move forward in an unpredictable situation is reckless, to Isaiah's point, too. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying about the fact that, moving forward, taking a gamble with people's lives just to make a few dollars, is reckless. I agree. But to say they weren't prepared, I think is probably unfair just because situations like this don't come along often enough for us to prepare for them.
Yeah. I mean, but even if you would think that they have some type of
like a disaster
plan or crisis plan, what would we do? Not that specifically, what the crisis would be, but what would we do if we had to shut down mid-season? What would we do? They will now. You can almost guarantee that they will definitely have that now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. But let's talk New York Knicks, man. I got a caller here on the line. Caller, you on the line?
The blackest time.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on, man? I can hear you.
Yeah, just wanted to talk to you about the second bubble they're going to do in Chicago. I just think the idea is terrible. I'm actually proud of the Knicks for not wanting to participate in this. Because if they did, it's just a glorified summer league. There's nothing they're going to get out of this.
Yeah, I don't know if the Knicks do not want to participate in it. They just weren't part of the phone call. They may still want to participate in it. They just didn't send somebody to the phone call, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I still stand by my comment. I don't feel there's nothing to gain for any of these teams in the second bubble. This is going to be like 7 or 8 games. It's going to be like summer league. Like, it's not really going to help much in development for these players, and it's too risky at the same time. I really don't understand the point of it.
I don't know what the point was. I guess the only point is that the teams don't want the players to go so long without playing basketball against a high level of competition. I guess that would, that's the main. I guess that's the main benefit, right? They don't want guys to just go 7, 8, 9 months, without playing any real basketball. So, but I don't know if I don't know, man.
Yeah, for me, it's I understand that you want these guys to be in good shape and have good conditioning, but to me, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, being concerned about your kids going to school. Obviously, you're concerned, but if they go to school for 1 week and then sit out for another few months, it's not going to help them education-wise.
Nah, I feel the only thing I would say is that Leon Rose would get a chance to maybe look at a couple of guys in more depth or anything like something like that, but for the most part, it'd be worthless.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, I can understand wanting to make sure your player's in shape, and conditioning-wise, it's really important, but I don't think there's anything to gain from having them play. There's other ways to monitor. If your guys are, following their diets or they're in condition, you can send, team staff over to their place, or maybe secure a practice place, but outside of that, I don't see any purpose.
Yeah. Nah, I agree with you, man. Agree with you 100%. Hey, I appreciate the call, bro.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, man. Yeah, I don't know, guys, but let's talk Knicks, man. Anybody, anything anybody want to bring up? I know Big Freezy got something he want to say. So, Big Freezy, you can unmute yourself, man, and go ahead and let it rip, bro. I know you got something that you want to say, man.
I'm mad. I cannot believe these Knicks fans, that the ones that say they've been fans for a long time, are how down they are on Kevin Knox. And to me, it's absurd and ludicrous for them to even, some of the arguments that you hear people say in defense of Kevin Knox being a bust. I mean, it's desperate. It's almost like when I first started kicking it with you, how I used to tell you that the Knicks fan base likes eating their young. How if every young point guard we get, we have to trade him after a year or a year and a half. It's the same thing that they're doing to Kevin Knox. Like, for instance, they say he has a low motor. He can't finish at the rim. His defense is suspect. His J is not wet. What does he bring to the team? He's a tweener. He can't defend wing players. He should play power forward. All these arguments and things that Knicks fans make, they don't base it in any type of point. Like,
and Freezy, if you're gonna talk about my man, say my man's name. Say my man's name.
Hey, man, you just cut him off. Can you let him finish? See, this is just talk show etiquette. He just.
Right.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Man, go get your knee pads.
Man.
That right there, I don't know if that's ever gonna go away. As soon as he said knee pads, I knew that was gonna be on the show forever. No, but back on the Kevin Knox thing. So over the course of the shows that we've done over the last year and a half, maybe 2, I guess it's 2 full years now, 2 full seasons. So there are shows where we talked about Kevin Knox, and I decided to connect the dots on a lot of the conversations that we had about Kevin Knox. Like for instance, our knock on Kevin Knox at first was when he runs the pick and roll, because we were talking about summer camp. We were like, when he runs that high pick and roll at the top of the key, once he gets past his first option, he doesn't look for a second option. He goes to the rim wild and reckless and throws up a shot. That was our knock on him. Like, what's his secondary move? Can he find, the secondary guy out of the high pick and roll? Or can he develop a floater, or does he have to gather his feet and shoot a jumper? Right. Those were part of our knocks. Our knocks were, he's not strong enough in the post. He's not a good enough rebounder. He gets pushed around in the post, and his defense is atrocious. And those criticisms of Knox were accurate, in my opinion, because it was his first taste of the NBA, and so he had to gain experience, for one, against guys that were bigger, stronger, faster, more experienced than himself. Even if it was a small sample size of the summer league, we say that, we'll say that, he should probably play better in the summer league, but a lot of those summer league guys were not just rookies. Some of those guys were starving guys, super hungry, second, maybe third year guys trying to make get a spot on somebody's roster. But when we connect the dots from that time to this year, when the season was shortened, we talk about Kevin Knox's scoring going down, his motor and such. But when you go back and look at Kevin Knox play this year, when you actually watch the games, his on-ball defense was markedly improved. His team defense was still suspect. And for a second-year player, you can't ask a second-year player to make improvements across the board if they're not some elite super prospect that's like a once-in-a-lifetime guy. We expect his progress not to be linear, but ups and downs. Like some games against certain offensive guys, his defense may be good. Against other guys, his defense may suffer some because he has to learn how to defend. He has to find his way through the league. So I say this I said all that to say this to the Knicks fans, the Knicks haters. Y'all have to find something else to talk about. I understand that we don't have much to talk about now, but to just declare Kevin Knox a bust already after a year and a half of NBA basketball means Kevin Knox doesn't have a problem. The Knicks fan base has a problem with giving up on young people too early. You know what I'm saying? They did it on Frank. They wanted to throw Frank away. And I also hear people are already talking about how R.J. Barrett doesn't have a shot, and they already want to change his position. Move him to small forward because they don't feel like he can defend wing players, shooting guards, long term, and his shot's not there. But my point about R.J. Barrett is a first-year player who, at the last 20 games, averaged 17 points a game, shot 44% from the field, shot 34% from three, and brought his free throw percentage up from 58% to 61% over the last 20 games, shows improvement. And we don't know what type of increase that number would have gotten to if he had played through April.
But I agree about R.J. Barrett, though. I mean, Kevin Knox, he's clearly taking the place of Frank as far as New York Knicks fans are concerned, and having a civil war. Clearly. But R.J. Barrett, I actually agree. I don't think his natural position is going to be at the 2 in the NBA. I think he's going to have a heck of a time throughout his career. He's not super fast, and I'm not saying this against him, but he's not super fast. He doesn't have super fast feet, and I don't want to see him chasing shooting guards around screens and all that kind of stuff. I think his best position defensively is going to be guarding threes in the NBA. And the way he plays, to me, is a little bit, probably more like a 3. That's just what I think, with RJ Barrett. Gerbo?
Big Freeze, you conflated a lot of stuff, and you just said a lot of conjecture. A lot of when people...
It's not conjecture. It's not conjecture. Stop using big words, man.
But it is conjecture. If you let me talk, you went, right? You went already, right? So sit back and listen. Listen to some Nas in the background. It's conjecture because
I got it.
You said a whole bunch of stuff that had no backing to it. When you're complaining about... Now, the whole thing about him being a bust and that stuff, I'm reserving my judgment. I'm not of that crowd. But when people talk about Knox, right? When people talk about RJ, we've got on people talking about RJ. It just doesn't make sense. When people talk about Frank, again, when you talk about Frank, even if Frank is not scoring, we've seen from his rookie year, he at least has flashed the ability when given it or when healthy to lock down the opposing point guard who he's guarding. That you can say, all right, if this guy's not scoring and he's annoyingly not scoring or at least being aggressive, we can at least hope that he can shut down a Kemba Walker, which he has done, which helped us win a game, shut down a Kyrie Irving, which he has done, which helped us win games. You know what I mean? So when we're looking at him, we don't judge some of these guys the same way. Now, some people just hyperbole, they're all busted. It's crazy people. And that's out of this group that I've seen on MBK, I don't think that's everybody, right? So just using an example, King and G might be gung-ho, Knox sucks. But you might be like, Frank sucks, but there's varying degrees. Also, when you look at Knox's numbers, they have dipped. I mean, when people talk about, I've watched games this season where I'm like, yo, bro, his defense is not good. And one thing I realized, we were talking about to the chat, right? We were talking about Knox's offensive and defensive ratings, right? And one thing I didn't take into account was that he played less minutes, which can be a bad indicator, which means that obviously there's multivariate analysis, right? There are a lot of factors that go in. His rookie year, I'm not saying that you base almost really anything just off his rookie year, but hopefully this is not a trend where he needs less minutes to reach his effectiveness ceiling.
More effective, right?
So his offensive rating increased it decreased to 1.013. 101.3 from 101.4.
Yeah, his percentages were worse in 2019-20 than 2018-19. Yeah.
Right. And his defensive rating went to 108.6 versus 115.1 in the previous year, but he got less minutes. And look, I'm not judging Knox on just solely the numbers, but I was watching the season. Now, you guys brought up again before the chat or the video happened, so people in the chat didn't see us. You guys brought up the number of blocks, and then I brought up the field goal percentage, right? Versus, right? And obviously, you're hoping that he improves year to year. But when I watch Knox again, slow anticipation, slow timing, lack of focus. When he's getting the ball, when people pass the ball, he's literally bobbling it as it's like he's seeing it coming to him, he's bobbling. I've seen him try to get rebounds. He's bobbling out of bounds. I've seen him jump over a ball to get the loose rebound. He literally, his whole body missed it. And I'm like, it's almost like Tom and Jerry when Tom or the cat tries to get the mouse. He jumps over it, and then the mouse just pops up and just is like, oh, crap, I thought I had it. You know what I mean? So with Knox, I think what you're doing, you're actually the opposite, where you like Knox so much, or you're hoping that Knox does so well that you're kind of speaking up this hyperbole. Oh, yeah, like, blah, blah. And I agree to some extent. He is young. He needs development, and he has not been given any favors by any of the coaching staff or the front offices. But what I would say to Knox is that the gods of the NBA or whatever, the NBA itself, they'll be like, so what? We don't give it. I don't give a damn. You need to produce. And in all actuality, as much as I want Knox to develop, as much as I want Knox to get the damn coach who will run something similar where he was at Kentucky to improve him or to at least get him comfortable, give him confidence. If that doesn't happen, the NBA is going to say, so the F what? You ain't producing, get out of here. And I said last stream, Sim, I just want Knox to be ultra aggressive. Now, you guys talked about he works hard and all that stuff. That's great. I want Knox to be ultra aggressive in expanding his game and making it at least NBA level efficient so he can be allowed on the floor, even if his defense isn't great. Because
I mean, how do we
not going to wait for him, Sim? The
how do we know he's not?
No.
How do we know he's not?
We talked about last stream. This season, in the last stream, we talked about this past season. Was this season or with Fizdale, where you guys are saying, well, it might be hard for him to go up and basically tell a coach, hey, give it to me in a post, blah, blah. If you're making that argument, you can't say on the other side saying, well, is he? It's like, well, what is it? Is he not?
No, whoa. You're talking about working hard. That's two different things.
No. I didn't say working hard. No.
What I'm saying,
I said being aggressive in his development. I'm not talking about working hard.
No. Listen. You said being aggressive in your development is him working on his game. Listen.
Hold on.
So being aggressive.
I didn't talk about working hard. I said he may be working hard, but to expect. We talked about his last stream, Sim. I'm saying him going up to the coaches and saying, "Hey, I need to develop my post game to Fizzo." He wouldn't say this exactly. Say, "Hey, you guys ain't running ish on offense, but I want to expand my game on an offensive end. Pass it to me in the post." That's what I'm saying. If he's doing that and it's not working, then fine.
How can you do that with Todd Gibson down there?
Say it again?
I mean, I'm just saying when someone says aggressively develop your game, to me that means you're working on you're aggressive and working on certain things in your game. I feel like working on certain things in your game and then talking to the coach and saying, hey, this is what I want. This is what I want. Are kind of two different things. I feel like that's two different things. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Yeah, Knox is to me. He doesn't have that kind of personality.
Aggressively working on the progress of the game and your career.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
I'm 6'9", 6'8", whatever the hell he is. I need to work on certain aspects of my game. I'm doing it in practice, but we need to run it through me in the actual game. Especially last year where we weren't going to make the playoffs. We weren't going to do anything really, and he had all the leeway to do that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying aggressive and saying, hey, I can do this, I can do that. You guys have not allowed me to do it. Let me at least show you that I can do this at 35%.
Hey, but you know what, though, Guillermo? I just want to ask you a question. I want you to continue, but I got to ask you a question first. Did you know at the beginning of the season, before the season tipped off, that Kevin Knox had a higher career scoring average than Marcus Morris? Did you know that?
Before the season started?
Before the season tipped, before the first tip, Marcus Morris came in with a career average of 12.1, right? And Kevin Knox came in with an average of 13.
You want me to kill your whole point? And what was Marcus Morris's whole career? Marcus Morris was a role player his whole career. Kevin Knox was a guy that they were seeing that, hey, we can build an offense around, or he's that type of guy that can potentially carry a team. Maybe not in his first whatever years. So that's not a good point because you could look at Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris came in and outperformed Knox.
This year, right?
I mean,
shooting at 45% from three at one point in the season.
I think that was expected. Let me get that light.
But that's not good. That's showing that Knox underperformed. That you're talking about a role player, Marcus Morris, who has never been allowed to expand his game, right? Never been allowed to expand his game. He comes to the Knicks, and he's looking like a borderline. Was he All-Star this year? Well, borderline All-Star. What are you gonna? Oh no, he obviously was. I'm sorry, we didn't have
He took Knox's job.
but borderline All-Star in terms of his peripherals, right? His percentages and stuff like. Obviously, his usage is a lot high, right? But Kevin Knox, you can argue, did not justify, and obviously the coaching was a mess. But you can argue that Kevin Knox, after the summer league, was not showing you the progress, or at least showing you like, hey, we can have this guy as a cog, or we can have this guy even playing more than Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris justified his time on the court. Kevin Knox did. So those averages don't really. That's actually an indictment against Kevin Knox.
His brother's like his brother likes
yeah, go ahead. Like,
I'm sorry, my bad. I don't have to zoom. My bad, bro.
Yeah. For me, man, everything surrounding Kevin Knox is it really is more of an indictment against how the Knicks have handled all of our youth. That's really all you're saying. One of the really cool things that the pandemic did was it made NBA TV or NBA on demand, whatever the hell it's called, it made it free. And you could go all the way back to Knox's rookie season. And to go back and watch how Knox was played and the amount of carte blanche and rope he was given to play is a testament to where those numbers came from that Freezy was citing, saying, you know, Knox had a higher career scoring average than what Marcus Morris walked in with. And to me, it really makes them parallel, because if he's not outpacing a rookie in his first season as a role player his whole career, to me, they're level. They are the same. The difference is that you were dealing with a veteran player who understands his role, understands his game, knows how to get where he needs to go. So when you're dealing with Knox in an offense that clearly has no direction, we all watched how they didn't know where to put players. They didn't know what kind of rotations they were running with. And none of these young players were committed to. The only player that we would consistently give time to is whatever rookie we were in love with. First season, it was Kevin Knox. We ran him to death. People were complaining he was getting too many minutes and what have you. Now, this past season, it was all about R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett's going to get his run. And he performed, you know, up and down as a rookie should. At the end of the day, everything we see in Kevin Knox has been thrown away because we decommitted. We said, you know what, he's okay, but he's not real. We're going to go get Marcus Morris, and we're going to put these guys ahead of him. And when you're dealing with a guy who clearly we all have seen has a fragile confidence, we need to build that confidence. You see what I'm saying? We didn't do that. And that's why you didn't foster the talents that we all see in him. And that's why guys like him and Frank Ntilikina have all these question marks about who they are, what they can bring to the team, because we have not committed to them. We just need to make a decision. If you don't like him, fine, get rid of him. If you like him, use him. Put him out there, put him in scenarios, make him a featured cog in the offense. And if it doesn't work, move him. At the end of the day, we're too gray with all of our players as a franchise, if you ask me.
But who makes that decision? Who makes that decision?
What do you mean? Who makes the decision as to who plays and who they're committed to?
Right. David Fizdale, Mike Miller, or the next coach?
I mean, at this point, we can't think about who was there before. At this point, we got to think about moving forward, and who makes that decision should be the coach. It should be the coach. We should be hiring somebody that we brought him in because he has a vision that's not just his generic vision, which is the reason why I have issue with the Thibodeau concept, because I feel like Thibodeau is going to come in with, a generic game plan that he used his whole career. He is what he is. It's not going to change. So if you bring him in here, you have to know he's going to try to make this team be what he wants, not what it is. And we need someone who can take what we have and create something that makes them effective, because one thing we've proven over time is we cannot bring in an outside free radical. We can't bring in the amazing player that's going to save us. That's not going to happen. We have to take what we have and mold it. We have to take what we have and build an organic superstar. That is the only way we're going to bring somebody in. That's it.
But like, ask you this, because I'm talking from the standpoint I'm talking from the standpoint of Kevin Knox, not from the coaches, right? We know that these coaches have the front office, the development has been absolute garbaggio to the fullest, right? But when, again, I say this for Knox because I don't want Knox to, I'm not saying he's doing this, but I just don't want Knox to ever depend on the idiots that run front offices, and I'm not, Leon, I'm not calling him an idiot, right? But we've seen where these front offices will hire a GM and then hire a coach and then move the GM, keep the coach, and then get a new GM, flip the. So a lot of these owners and front offices, they're not the San Antonio Spurs. They're not, they're not these guys that actually have a plan. What I'm saying for Knox is that you have to show out yourself. Like you have to be, put it like this, you have to almost think that any coach that's walking in that door is going to be terrible. And they're not going to be able to teach me ish. I got to learn ish on myself. I got to push my development because the worst case possible scenario, because you've already been in it. This is the Knicks. When was the last time we had that? So I agree with you. Yes, the development has been terrible, but there's certain things. When I watch Frank Ntilikina, as much as I want to punch him in the back of his head to be more aggressive, and we see this in spurts where it's like, bro, be aggressive. At the very least, we've seen Frank play defense where it's like, that's in him. That fire is in him. You can't take that. You can take both of his arms out. He's always going to try to play defense when he's allowed to, when he's given time. RJ Barrett, his peripherals, his efficiencies weren't that good. But anytime he had the ball in his hands, he tried to make something work. How many times did we see RJ Barrett? If RJ Barrett was actually allowed to be, or if they called fouls to RJ Barrett, do you think his numbers would actually probably peak around 18 points a game? You think he would actually be, when you think as rookie of the year, he'd be like, yo, that's that dude? But that tells you that RJ Barrett, his aggression level, it never wavered. He got shot on by Jason Tatum. Final shot, he got shot on by Kyrie Irving, and you never saw that fire go out. When I watch Knox, he is a confidence guy, as in a lot of guys are confidence guys, but I've seen Kevin Knox, and we've seen it where he's shooting threes. There's a guy that we've seen in the Summer League coming up, shooting threes off the dribble like, yo, what the hell is this? He came into games last season shooting threes that literally it bonkered. Like, it's like, what angle? It's the same thing when Walcott Frazier said he's aiming the shot. I've heard him say he's aiming the shot many times for Kevin Knox, which means that he is not confident whatsoever. And a lot of that stuff is mental. And even as a 19-year-old, I want Knox to do well, but this NBA don't give a F. They will retire you and send you to China at the age of 20, whatever, after your rookie contract, in terms of is a dog-eat-dog world. So if Kevin Knox, to me, I'm just saying, worst case scenario, think about that all the time, that you're never going to get a good coach, and you have to change the team. You have to change the probabilities where it's like, all right, Kevin Knox is shooting 32% from three, or we don't want to really involve him in this play because he kind of sucks to like, yo, dude, this Kevin Knox been shooting out. He's been ultra aggressive. We got to include him in the equation now. That's all I'm saying. I want Kevin Knox to be effective on his team. He has to be ultra aggressive and pushing that because no one else is going to do it for him, or at least you have to assume that no one's going to do it for him.
So we'll just ignore the fact that Kevin Knox got better on defense, and there's data to support it.
Where did he get better on defense?
He became a better help side defender.
I think he got better on defense. I mean, he's not going to be perfect at every single thing. There's going to be mistakes every single game, guaranteed. Right. But I still think he got better on defense. He became a better defender. No one's saying he's all world shutting people down.
I didn't say
right?
that.
But I still think he made improvements on defense. I mean,
guys on the back.
Sim showed numbers that in the year 18-19, guards shot a certain percentage against Kevin Knox, right?
Small forwards too. I gotta find those numbers again. I gotta go and get those numbers again.
Right.
But so that's not improvement though. I mean, that's what we asked for. He may not hold guys. That's not improvement from year to year.
Last time.
Go ahead, Andy.
Guys, we gotta set this clear because we're talking every stream about this. Let's be clear. Knox improved on defense, but he improved, but the improvement wasn't that big that we all wanted, right? Because of course we want him to be the Frank Ntilikina guy. But let's be clear, he's still the worst defender on the Knicks. Let's be clear about that too.
What?
So, he's still the worst defender on the Knicks, man.
I don't know.
Julius Randle check out.
Let me tell you the improvement.
Julius Randle will walk away from a defensive play.
Man.
Can I point out the improvement? Because I pointed out this last show.
No, Guillermo, wait up, man. Yo, tell me, if you were playing versus the Knicks, you would find an easier target to play against the Knox. You see so many flaws on his defense, you would sneak up on him like on a kid, man.
I mean,
I would be happy to play versus Knox.
Look, I don't think anybody's ever saying that, he made the improvement to be an all-world, he's now an all-world defender.
Exactly.
But you want someone...
that's why I'm agreeing that he improved.
Yeah, I mean, you want someone to continue to improve. What?
Can I show the improvement, guys?
What's the improvement?
So, you said defensive improvement. Let me provide the improvement at Big Freezy. Oh, Sim said the numbers, which he didn't.
I don't even talk
No,
like that.
I did it. Shows. I did. You know what? I actually did this. You know, a few shows ago. No, not a few shows ago. I did this maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the COVID-19 went down, and maybe it was even before that. You know, and I got the numbers out of an article that talked about his defensive improvement.
And right, you mentioned on the other show, and I point out. So let me provide you guys context for this improvement, and I think I'm admin, so I'll put it in the chat. Is NBA stats? There's no virus.
Go ahead.
This is Kevin Knox, 2018-2019 defensive field goal percentage, and the field goal percentage of the person he's playing against. Overall, Kevin Knox defensive field goal percentage 48.3 versus 45.8, which is not good. It's a positive differential of 2.5. The next year, 2019. The defensive field goal percentage, 46.7% versus 44.6, a differential of 2.1.
But hold up, but wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute. Because somebody shooting 46% and 44% for a team could be a big difference in a game.
48 his rookie year versus 46. Those are both terrible, Sim. Is a 1.6% improvement. That's
it's a 1.6.
But that's not the stats that I brought to you. The stats that I brought, and I'm gonna have to go find them. The stats that I brought broke down when he defended against small forwards, and he defended against guards, and he defended against whoever. You know what I'm saying? How those numbers and field goal percentages were different from the previous year to this year.
Right.
Okay, so what was his, since he plays at the 3-4, what were his numbers at the 3-4? Because I guess that's the only thing that really matters. Because I'm looking at it again. I'm looking at field goal percentage. I understand it incorporates a lot of people, but still,
my thing is, there are a few other areas. We talked about the blocks, right? Light said, he thinks he's seen him get, maybe do some better defensive rotations. Everything is not going to come all together at once.
Didn't say it. Why? Okay, why?
Everything is not going to come on together. Because the reason why I do it. No, the reason why I do it is because, right? I mean, if you're just going to straight up bash and say no improvement, because you want him to be a superstar defender, it's not going to happen all at once. You gotta let the guy. No, nothing. You gotta let the guy grow, bro. You gotta let him grow.
You like a player, so you want to sit there.
No. I do this. No, I don't see. So don't even put that on me, because I do it. Any player, bro.
When did I say I want Knox to be superstar?
No. Listen. Open your ears and listen, bro. Listen. What I'm saying is, you're saying because I like a player, I'm going to try to taint the numbers. Hell no. I'm not trying to taint.
I didn't say that.
So what's the point in saying because I like a player? What was the point in saying that? Because I like a player.
Because you like a player, you're going to sit there and try to say, oh, if you say this.
Exactly. That's the point that I'm making. That's the point that I'm making. Because I like a player, you're saying because I like a player, I'm trying to find ways to make it better. No, I'm just saying what I see.
I didn't say the numbers.
I do that against any player.
If I sit here and I'm critical of him, you sit here and say, oh, you just want Knox to be this and that, a superstar.
But you do that. Because what's going to happen?
I literally sat here and said,
all right.
I don't even care if Knox scores.
The next time you do it, I'm gonna just point it out. Because
it's like I said multiple times. I said I don't care.
You talk about development. You talk about development, but you don't want to take incremental. Oh, what's a 1.2 percentage development? Well, it's something, right? Because it's not.
I'm watching it. I'm using numbers with context. I pointed out every time he had a show sim. And Knox has had a good game, like the Chicago game where he scores 14 points or whatever.
Right, and then it comes with a caveat.
When he's had bad games where the discernible deficiencies in his game, like letting a guy cut backdoor behind him, I pointed it out.
Right, but you know what?
But I don't even care if Knox scores 10 points a game, but I'm saying his awareness and his concentration are not good.
I guarantee you.
1.2 percentage points improvement.
I guarantee you.
I'm watching this kid play, and it's not good defense. It's not good concentration.
Okay, cool. I guarantee you, if you go back and look anytime, I guarantee it, anytime that you slightly said, yeah, he had a good game, but yeah, he had a good game, but yeah, he scored such and such, but he didn't make that rotation. He didn't do this. I guarantee it. Anyway, let's talk about RJ Barrett.
Go back to your summer league. Hold on.
Let's talk about RJ Barrett.
Go back to your summer league, because in your summer league, I was praising Knox. I was like, this kid could start. I said, yo, the way I'm seeing this dude body deuce to the basket, I'm impressed with this dude. I sing everybody's praises if you do good. If Knox is, there have been so many games this season where I
guarantee you don't. Go back and look at him. Let's talk about RJ Barrett.
It's your show. You can go back to your summer league.
You can go back and look at it too. The videos are right there.
Knox has had games where he's had 24 minutes and scored 5 points. I have the videos on it.
I mean, come on. He's the only one that's done that. Come on now.
I think we need a shot clock.
Okay. Let's talk about something else.
Go ahead.
Because RJ Barrett could very well and easily have a sophomore slump. Just like any player in the NBA. And what's going to happen to RJ Barrett? The same way we did to Frank Ntilikina, the same way we're doing to Kevin Knox and whoever else comes on the Knicks, I guarantee you we hear the same shit.
Right, all the time.
About RJ Barrett.
Hold on. If you're being critical of him, why not be critical of him? I've been critical of Frank. I've been critical of RJ when he's coming and not being able to shoot.
Because development, to use a favorite word of yours, development is not linear. It will go up. It will go down.
That's not my word. By the way, that's not my. I don't say that's. I think it's freezy.
Linear? You don't say linear?
It's Machiavellian.
You say linear. You say linear.
Y'all talking about me not listening.
No.
Sim literally just used a line that Freezy likes.
I am going to go find a whole bunch. Because I've said the same thing to you. I asked you, why is everything linear? I've asked you on the stream, why is everything linear? You have said it mad times.
Oh, Big Freezy uses that term. He uses the term.
I'll take the blame.
It goes up and down.
I know he does, but you do as well. Anyway, I can guarantee you we can go back and see in the streams that you've used linear.
Have a whole episode of going back
but
and
anyway,
seeing as
I really don't care what you said. I really don't care what you said. Development is not linear. Development is not linear.
Why are you bringing it up?
Bro,
somebody need a bucket of water, yo.
Listen.
Somebody get the bucket, yo.
Calm down.
I'm listening. You're trying to
say.
Stop. Will you stop? Will you stop?
You got it.
What I'm saying, development is not in a straight line. It's gonna go up. Jeez, it's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. If RJ Barrett has a bad sophomore season, we're gonna get the same thing. I can guarantee it. Everybody wants to make a judgment right now. Everybody wants to make a judgment right now. And the histrionics is cool. That's good. Go ahead, make them. Right? Everyone who wants to make a judgment right now instead of waiting and seeing what's going to happen with these guys. Can we look at year 3, 4, 5? Especially when the guy comes in at 19 years old.
Oh, my Lord. Right. What was my judgment on Knox? I literally said I don't want him to be. I don't think he's a bust.
We're not talking about. Can we talk about RJ Barrett?
Yeah, but you
forget about Knox. Forget about.
You're saying can we go to RJ Barrett?
Jeez, I didn't bring up Knox again. I'm talking about RJ Barrett and about his sophomore season. Right. Where do we expect him to go, and where do we want him to be in his sophomore season? And can we expect, or do we think there will be a sophomore slump? Because I actually do think that there will be a sophomore slump. Because people, just like most players, people are going to know what he does and know how he plays. And now they're going to start to devise defenses against him.
Yeah, man, I'll add to that, man. And fans are going to expect growth from RJ. And it's not only going to be, every season he's going to go up, right? So, we're going to expect him shooting better. We're going to expect him having, higher percentages at the rim, at the free throw line and stuff like that. Not all of those things are going to improve.
Right.
But why not? Why can't all of those
that
things
would be
improve?
a fairy tale, like
because development is not linear. Because development is not linear.
Not only that, Freezy, but
But RJ is just Machiavellian enough that he might just figure it out, He might just be, Guillermo don't even recognize that that's his word.
No, but for real, man, we would like Knox, RJ to improve on this, and this, and this, right? And that would be a fairy tale for us. He's not going to improve in all, let's say, 5 categories that we want him to improve.
Well, I mean,
improve in 3. That's going to be fine. And
in RJ's
I
defense, down the stretch of the season, there were clear and marked improvements in a lot of those categories that you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. But you know that we want that long term, right? In his whole career, right? So that's what I'm talking about. I want higher shooting percentage from the free throw line because he's getting to the line. I would like him to shoot around 80%. I don't believe that can happen in the sophomore year, but at the end of his career, I believe he can get there.
Yeah, and the thing too, RJ is developing into, and people don't notice, is RJ is not looking to develop into a bona fide 5-star offensive player. RJ Barrett looks to develop into a dominant all-star level 2-way wing. RJ Barrett does look to improve on defense and wants to guard the best guy. The only thing about that, though, is 19-year-olds generally are not lockdown defenders. Pat Beverly didn't get to that level until he was 28. Tony Allen, who's the gold standard of wing defenders, in my opinion, didn't get there until he was 25. Scottie Pippen was about 25, 26 before he got there. So when we look at Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina and RJ Barrett and expect these guys to be high-level defenders in an era where you can't hand check and the court is wide open, we have to realize that these guys have to learn, it's trial by fire. You have to basically fail a lot so that you can grow.
I feel like RJ needs to. RJ has issues in his biomechanics. If you watch RJ come down the court, he seems like he's the slowest guy in the world, but it's because he shortens every one of his strides up. His legs never fully extend when he's in full stride. His knees are always at a 90-degree angle, like a piston churning. And it's a similar situation with Kevin Knox. We have a lot of guys who don't have good footwork, and are not really cognizant of how their body is moving and how to take advantage of those body movements. Now, there's nothing dangerous in it. It's not like Derrick Rose early in his career and the way he handled himself, but he's not at optimum efficiency. And if they could get somebody, I don't know, I dare say I would make RJ and Kevin Knox take a damn dance class and just get lighter on their feet. And I think
fluid. Get more fluid.
Yes, because I watch RJ and he's clunky, and that's why he can't take advantage of any of the good. See, the thing about you were saying with elite level defenders coming later in life, a lot of that has to do with developing that grown man strength, and that's the one advantage that RJ, just like his homeboy Zion, they came into the league with a man's body from the gate. You know what I'm saying? Whether they understood how to use it or not, they came in the league with that. And that's why when RJ in them first, the very beginning of the season, RJ came in and it looked like he was just going to be 20 points a night. I don't know if everybody remembers that, but early in the season, RJ came out really hot. And it was because he caught these vets, these NBA pros by surprise, because he would come in the paint and they thought, oh, I'm just going to push this rook back. And he would lean his shoulder in and they're like, oh, snap, wait, okay. I can't just take that he's 19 for granted.
I think part of that got to do with Elfrid Payton, though. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
You think that has to do with Elfrid Payton?
Yep.
His ability to get in the paint and muscle and finish through contact?
Yep.
How do you attribute that to Elfrid Payton?
So if you look at that same time period that you mentioned, and you look at Kevin Knox last year, the absence of Elfrid Payton opened up the floor for RJ Barrett to show what he can do, right? Upon Elfrid Payton's return, when Elfrid Payton started to start for the Knicks, you saw Kevin Knox's numbers dip. So you saw RJ Barrett's numbers dip. Okay. RJ Barrett went from being, the second option to the third or fourth option behind Julius Randle, Marcus Morris, Elfrid Payton, Wayne Ellington, and Ty Gibson and guys. So he didn't have the opportunity to touch the ball and do those things that you said he can do once Elfrid Payton returned. And if you look at Kevin Knox last year without Elfrid Payton, his numbers, he averaged about 13.5 points a game. This year with Elfrid Payton, the dude averaged about 6. we can say that's a coincidence, and Elfrid Payton is a better point guard than what we've had over the last few years or so. I'm here to tell you that when I watch the game, I don't see advanced level anticipation when guys cut open. I don't see good court vision when, say, Knox is in the corner wide open for three. The pass is ball is being reversed to Julius Randle so he can do his half spin in the paint. Those are things. Once if you look at it as and not look at the game, but look at what one player is doing, just like put the scope on. Say, what is Kevin Knox doing in this play when Julius Randle lost the ball in the paint? You can see Kevin Knox in the corner, waiting
around the 3-point line.
Yeah.
That's his default role. Once Julius has the ball, Kevin Knox just has to he's always hunched over, lurking around the 3-point line. That's his position.
Right. Where was RJ Barrett on these plays? Say in this game against Milwaukee, when the lead was 10 points, and every time the young guys played, they would cut the lead to say 5. They bring the vets back in, and the lead go back to 13. We have RJ Barrett on the floor with Marcus Morris, Taj Gibson, and Julius Randle. What is RJ Barrett doing on offense? When you look at stuff like that, then you're like, okay, now I see why the dude's scoring is down and his participation in the offense is down.
Cohesion matters. You have to want the success of your teammate as much as you want your own personal success. And what I saw with Elfrid Payton, I felt like he had, like in football, where you have your charts. You know what I'm saying? You when that ball snaps as the quarterback, you got what do they call it? There's a term for it, but it's basically you go through your receivers in
your progression. Your progression.
Right. Mm-hmm. With Payton, his progression was always Randle. Where's Randle? I can't find Randle. I'm going to pass it to you, but make sure you pass it back to me or pass it to Randle. That it felt like he was just keyed in on trying to get Randle the ball at all times. And I digress on that point, but I get what you're saying, Freezy, in that, he was getting frozen out, and I think that's well established that there you can go back and watch the games, and being that it's quarantine, I've probably watched every game we played last season 4 or 5 times, and it happened quite a bit, where RJ wasn't getting the ball, or even Knox wasn't getting the ball. A lot of guys were not getting the ball with open looks, but you see, the Knicks should have known that this was going to be a problem when you got 7 guys on your team that are giving heavy rotational minutes that have no guarantee to be there next season. So at the end of the day, they're not playing for the New York on the front of the jersey. They're playing for the name on the back of the jersey.
Right.
And therein lies the problem with seeing Knox move forward, because in order for you to see the types of progressions that we want, we need these guys to play as a team. You see what I'm saying? They have to trust one another and want one another to be successful. And that's why, like Freezy was saying, when the young guys was on the court, we would see a more competitive brand of basketball, because it wasn't about RJ being rookie of the year or Kevin Knox taking all the threes. You know what I'm saying? It was about, we're a team and we are trying to be successful. So I'm gonna move the ball. I'm gonna play defense. I'm gonna do the things I need to do. Them vets would get in there and it was like, nah, bro, you scored the last point. It's my turn.
Right. Hey, so there's a game, and I challenge people to go back and watch a game against Charlotte when Dennis Smith started. Right. So in the first half of the game, Dennis Smith Jr. had 4 steals. Right. But he couldn't drive the paint because Taj Gibson was literally like, he wants to drive and dunk. He can't, because Taj Gibson and his man is there in the paint, and then there's Julius Randle at the elbow. So he can't get around Julius and his defender to get to the rim to dunk on his man, because there's Taj and Taj's defender, right? So they take out these veteran guys. The young guys go on a run, right? RJ Barrett kicks out the ball to Kevin Knox, and Kevin Knox looks like he's throwing the ball away, but it's actually a lob to Mitch. Mitch catches the lob and dunks it, right? The Hornets call timeout, and the young guys are celebrating like they just won a championship. Out of the timeout, the young guys get sat, and Charlotte goes on a run, and we wind up losing the game, right? So you have this deal where people look at every individual young player in a vacuum, right? Like, what is RJ doing? What is Knox doing? What is Mitch doing? But what they don't look at is this team chemistry aspect of having those young guys playing together and developing together. You know what I'm saying? So while I put the blame on our point guard situation not having an advanced grasp on the offense, just hungry to get veterans involved, I also point out the fact that if allowed to play like the other young teams in the NBA, like your Atlanta Hawks, like your New Orleans Pelicans, like your Sacramento Kings, you would see an overall development of all the players, and not just looking to pick out one to be our franchise savior, but have these guys go through the losing and go through the winning together in order to develop everybody overall better.
So let me ask. Let me ask you. So what from RJ Barrett going into next season? In what areas would you be happy if you see the development? Because look, you're going to see some area. You're going to see some development in some areas. You may not see it in other areas. Which areas would you be happy to see that development?
Shooting.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, what's up, y'all? I'm back from my nap.
This man stopped and took he did that. We were on the front stoop when he was here. He was sleeping on the front stoop. If you guys watch the show, he was sleeping. He was sleeping live on the air on the front stoop here with me. We were going on the NBK. He said, "I gotta go take a 5-minute nap."
Sitting next to this man.
Let me say this.
He fall asleep in the room with the man.
That's what I'm saying.
Let
me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Isaiah.
Here we go.
Here we go. Let me tell you something. We will be in the middle of a conversation. In the middle of a conversation. He'll say one word, think about what he's about to say, and in between the time that he's thinking about what he's got to say, he's asleep. I'm serious.
Bro, you got low iron or something? What's up?
That ass serious. Like,
listen. When you look this good, you need the beauty sleep. Sometimes
Okay.
what it is. Listen, when you look like 90s Denzel Washington, you gotta get the beauty sleep.
Sound like you need some iron pills, bro.
Listen. Hey, brother Light, it's good to see you back, brother Light.
Hey, man, I've been here, man. I've been here. I just ain't been
I must have been asleep. But no,
yeah, you was asleep.
What I want to see from RJ, from sophomore years for me, for players in any sport, is always a challenge, because now they have tape on you. Now they can guard you. Now they can know your tendencies. So for me, when it comes to RJ Barrett, I would love, of course, I think we all want to see him shoot better, get a higher. If he can get to at least 44% this coming up year, shooting wise, I'll be happy with that. I'll count that as a win. Passing's good. Work on the turnovers. Personally, I think his defense is good for his age. He played really good defense for his age, and he had. Listen, people, it's always fun. I've been saying it the whole year, son, and everybody. I've always found it funny how people talk about Zion's body, but RJ Barrett has a grown man's body, and he's been playing good defense on these guys, and no one talks about it, because it's the Knicks. Calls. They don't talk about it, but he has a great body. So when it comes to do I no, we had a whole discussion about this pause thing.
That's a joke from the front stoop, yo.
My bad. I'm crossing platforms.
No, but still, yeah.
Nah, look at Andy. Andy's talking about iron pills and knee pads in the comments. You got Andy turning on me, and Andy wasn't supposed to turn on me. Andy, don't do this.
It's all love, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Sometimes you like people in this shit. Shut up, Guillermo, Big Show.
I got one more for you, man, but I'm gonna leave it for the goodbye.
I'm gonna save it.
I'm going back to sleep. I was having a good.
You're going back to sleep.
Hey, Sam. So Okay.
But no, but seriously though, I do think if RJ works on his shooting and the turnovers, because I already think personally, I think he's a team player. But sometimes when I've seen him act selfish was when it was a reaction to Elfrid Payton and Julius Randle playing their one and two man game. So that's what I'm seeing, you know. So when it comes to RJ, man, I don't think he has. I don't want to say he needs to make a huge jump because to me he had a good year this year. I just think he needs to work on the little things more than the big things. His big things, shooting he's gonna get better. You know, when you get into the NBA, the shooting does get better. And if the Knicks actually hire a shooting coach, which again makes so much sense while we sucked at shooting this year when we had no shooting coach. If you hire a shooting coach, which personally I would just give the Spurs shooting coach a blank check and tell him, hey, just come here. You know, just come here, whatever. You can get whatever money you want. Just come here and teach the Knicks how to shoot.
Who's the Spurs shooting coach?
I forgot the dude's name. I forgot his name, but he's really good, though. He's one of the best in the league.
Like a black dude, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I really don't remember. But I know he's really good. So, yeah, man, I think those things for RJ, those would be the improvements I would like to see. Because, RJ's an alpha male, and RJ knows what he wants, and RJ knows he's a winner. So he just has to improve on those things, man. So that's what I think.
I'd like to see his free throw shooting get better.
Right.
That's one thing.
It was like 60%, right? It was like 60%.
Yeah, and then, from three, I'm not expecting him to come in. I don't want to, I'm not expecting that he's going to come in and knock it down for 40%. But if he can, jump up 2 percentage points, something like 2 or 3 percentage points, I'll be happy with that. Right. What did he end the season around? 31, 32%?
What 3-point?
Yeah. Three.
31.
I think like 32, I believe, because he was getting before this whole thing, it was getting better.
32% from three, 40% from the field. If he could get up to 35%, I'll be happy with that. I don't need to see him up at 40 yet. It's incremental growth.
So with RJ Barrett, someone had a good video on this. So when we talk about the shooting, I'll be a little bit more specific. RJ Barrett has, and it's improved at times. He has like his shooting motion is weird. So when he shoots the three versus when he shoots his free throws a lot different. I forgot who broke this down, but because I want to give him credit. But when he shoots the three, it is a natural motion to where it's kind of above his head, or at least near above his head. When he shoots the free throw, he shoots it. He kind of like brings the ball here, pauses, and then in front, and then right. And so it leaves a lot of room for error when you're shooting. Like when you see some of the best players, the Ray Allen, it's a nice fluid motion. And Ray Allen's he's whatever. It's hard to use him as an example because he's just perfect in terms of how he shoots a shot, like a trebuchet kind of. But I would say with RJ Barrett, I would try to work on making his mechanics a lot more consistent. When he shoots, sometimes he doesn't shoot at his apex. And that's because he also doesn't put a lot of energy into actually jumping with a shot. So if you watch his college games, he wasn't as like low jumping as like say Zachary Randolph or Zion even, but he didn't put a lot of energy into a shot. And it's almost like when you're punching somebody, like how Thai boxers punch, it's not the actual extending your arm. It's like the torquing your hip and then using the shoulder. So everything's there. And then you use the arm, basically like everything's there. He has to learn how to use a lot of that energy into actually jumping when he shoots. Because sometimes it's hitchy. And you can fix it. Like, remember when Wilson Chandler first came from DePaul and he had that weird
trash
shot? And he improved himself to be like basically a borderline, I think 40% with his last year with the Knicks from the three. So I would work with, and RJ Barrett, to me, my opinion, I think he's a dog. So he's probably getting somebody working, probably somebody like Steve Nash. He has to work on the consistency with shooting, right? And he has to have a motion down packed, and the shooting, especially from the free throw down packed.
Yeah, from the legs, he got to shoot from the legs.
Got to shoot from the legs, use more energy from the legs. And also with his defense, he has to work, and this is what a lot of NBA players, Frank does it the best. And that's use your hips on defense, because when you see him play, like, I think it was a Kyrie game, because I think the Jason Tatum game, I think that was more like, I don't say catch and shoot, but it's fairly quick if I remember from the three. But I remember with Kyrie, he could have closed in on him. And many times what defenders do they don't trust their hips, right? So they kind of play like jumpy, right? And many times when they do that, they don't want to get close up on a guy, right? So the best defenders are Patrick Beverley's. You see how he squats like kind of like a karate master. Frank Ntilikina can shift his hips really good. He has to work on using his hips to defend versus his legs, right? Because when you have the hips, you can force people one way. You can glide with them. You're less susceptible to like crossovers and stuff. You know, John Morant had to work on that when we were talking about John Morant. So that's one thing. When we talk about defense, he has the tenacity, but if your hips aren't there, you could get beat each and every time. Every time. Especially if someone's going to do a hezzy, you get beat every time. So I don't know who you could work on with for defense. I would watch Frank Ntilikina. When you see Frank Ntilikina, he allows guys to drive to the basket, which is like a weird thing where it's like, I'm going to fool you into thinking you have a shot, but you ride the hip or you allow them to ride a hip, and you see when Frank keeps it tall, by the time they're trying to lay up, you already have basically the rotation, that thing covered. You have your hand in the air, and all you have to do is basically jump. Once they go up, they can't go another way. So I would take RJ Barrett to work on that and the shooting form. And I think he, you know, we could talk about coaches coming in, allowing more pick and roll to give him more space and stuff, but all that stuff is based on a coach. If you don't get an Atkinson, say we get a Thibodeau, and he likes guys dribbling up top and that stuff, you know, might not suit RJ. But to me, those two things, those are things that you work on and improve on without having a coach or a point guard or, you know.
I would say RJ Barrett needs to hit the main thing he needs to improve on is his decision making in the paint. When he gets to it's hard to stop RJ Barrett from getting into the paint. And he gets there not by speed, but strength and craftiness, right? But when he gets to the paint, sometimes he's so dialed in on getting the bucket that he'll steamroll people in his path and throw up a bad shot. As opposed to, you say, working on a floater, kicking out to a man in the corner. Is Mitch open from the perch for a lob? You know what I'm saying? So getting to, you know, throwing up a wild shot at the basket can get you some, you know, to the free throw line occasionally. You know, I think he went to the free throw line 4.5 times a game, which is really high for a rookie. You know, but at the same time, if you can convert by throwing a lob to Mitch and throw the lob to Mitch, Mitch shot 74% from the field, right? Or you can kick out to one of the 3-point shooters that we have, say a Ellington, a Bullock, a Dotson, a Trier, a Knox. You know, the defense collapse in the paint, you get those 3-point shooters better looks because the defense is collapsed on the ball in the paint. So if he could be a better decision maker there, his scoring average may not go up, but maybe his assist total and our win totals will go up.
Okay, let me get to a caller real quick. Caller, you live? What's pop?
Sam.
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right, my brother. Let me first say, hopefully you and your family and everybody in the chat, everybody's safe.
Yeah, man.
During times I haven't spoken to anyone I haven't gotten on the platform in a minute, but I've been watching. I'm still watching, seeing you guys and stuff. So hopefully everybody's doing okay.
Well, I can only speak for myself and my family. Everyone is fine. We're all healthy. Although my brother is traveling to Florida this weekend.
Well,
you know what? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We warned them like, yo, why? Like, for what? But, that's a whole nother story. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But, so far everybody is good and healthy. Hopefully the same with you, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We did lose someone, but, we got to push on.
My condolences, man. My condolences for that.
Thank you, brother. All right, let's get to it. I haven't been in it for a minute, and I was listening for quite some time. And let me say this: everybody so far on the Knox and the younger players and so forth, everybody pretty much has a good point. But the one common denominator that I think everybody is missing is you can't move from this. And I remember about Knox in particular, and I remember this coming out about him. I think we talked about it, when you proclaimed him, skill sets better than that dude who's no longer here, but we're not going to go there tonight.
Right.
We're not going to go there tonight. And it's that for a young man, he doesn't have a good motor. And I remember reading that all of the Draft Express, ESPN, and that was like the overriding theme was like he tends to drift out. And as I was watching him, even more so last year, he started to remind me a lot of Otto Porter. And I said, this can't be what the Knicks envisioned with him long-term, big picture, because here's Otto Porter is making 100 and God knows how many millions, and Washington can't get rid of him fast enough. Right?
Wait a minute, Otto Porter is in, but isn't he in Chicago now?
Chicago.
Is he in Chicago now? Okay.
Yeah, he's in Chicago.
Yeah.
They traded him for Jabari Parker, I think.
All right, so they were able to get rid of him. They were able to move on from him. And here's a man that was averaging, 40% from three, a couple of years ago, but wasn't much more than at standstill, space the floor three. That part of his game, you just can't deny is that oomph, that effort. That you don't have to be, not looking for a young player to come in and be great at any one particular thing. But what I've always want to see from a young player is I want to see that energy. I want to see that dog. Even if they pull you out of the game for making a boneheaded play, at least it's a boneheaded play that showed you had energy. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's just always been the one little knock that I've had on him. And I remember you and I had this conversation. I said it to you. I said, what young man don't want to bang it on somebody? With his kind of athleticism, that's not looking to catch a name. Okay, especially on somebody you've been watching these guys, since whatever grammar school, whatever. You think, well, I'm gonna catch it on this person. I'm gonna make my name on this person. He never kind of like had that feeling like, all right, this 6'9" and growing athletic, kid is in this game, and we don't have to watch him. Not coming over the back on the offensive rebound, nothing. On the break, nothing. He doesn't go vertical, he goes sideways and does like this kind of half hook, half something throw over his head. I'm like, dude, what is this? So not killing him, because I heard someone that said something tonight is that we eat our babies. We eat our young. All of our young people have come through over these years, Wilson Chandler, whoever, Gallinari, whatever. At some point in time, we lose patience with them and we let them go.
Oh, that's the truth. We do. We do.
I was surprised to see that they cut Trier. I was surprised.
It's hard to say what that whole thing is about. I have some ideas about it, but it's hard to say what the entire thing is about.
Hopefully, with the new scouting and the new executives that we have up front, this is my one wish for them, is that they're getting a certain type of individual that have things that are in common with each other. So when they get on the floor, it's all of these guys play hard. You understand what I'm saying? Or these guys are fast. These guys can shoot. Whatever it is, they have a certain level of, okay, we're going to build around RJ, and these are the pieces that fit the best. Not one piece is this and one piece is that. Is that all these pieces fit together and we're moving in a general direction.
Hopefully, looking at what they've done with the front office, and I'm not proclaiming to know every single detail about these guys, but they seem to have put together guys that have a role, have a real role, and it's going to be a brain trust of guys making decisions, not just one or two guys. That's what it seems like to me, and everybody kind of has their role on how they get players here and do this and that. Hopefully that's what their goal is and what they're trying to build, man.
What's Perry's role? Why is Perry still here?
I think Perry is what was his title? He's the general manager in charge of scouting, manager. Right? And he's over scouting or something like that.
Again, when he made all these maneuvers, the new guy, Leon, whatever. But when they didn't fire Perry, I scratched my head. I'm like, okay, why is Perry still here? What do you need Perry for? You brought in high level executive people that's basically doing some of what Perry's doing. I don't understand. And then I read something that stated that that he has a chance of getting extended. Why?
Well, I think I'm not exactly sure of the date when they announced that Perry was going to be, stay on, but I think the season had already ended, and it was done, right? So, and they didn't know what was going to happen as far as the draft and all of that, and I'm thinking that they probably at least part of the thinking, and they may just have a good relationship, Leon Rose and Scott Perry, and maybe Leon Rose likes what Scott Perry does. But part of it is Scott Perry had done scouting for the entire year, and maybe it's like, what, let's just keep this going through the draft, because we don't know what's going to happen, what's coming up with the season. I don't know. He brought in. Everyone kind of has a different role. What Scott Perry's official role is, and what they're going to be doing behind closed doors, who knows? Everyone seems to have their little title. One guy is, is a capologist, which they had a capologist. I guess this guy's a better capologist. You got Worldwide West who's going to do his things. You got some other people that's good with the draft. Another guy that's good with scouting. So, and then maybe he just wanted to have someone who's been. It's hard to say it about Perry, right? Because the only winning organization that he's been with is the Pistons when they won a championship. But leading an organization, Orlando, Sacramento, they never had a winning record. But maybe he just had someone who has, he doesn't have experience working on this side of the game. Maybe he said, you know what? He's got some experience. Let's just keep him here. He can help me with some of the ins and outs of this, that, and the other thing. My only fear is I just don't want Scott Perry to become the next Steve Mills. That's my only thing. I thought Scott Perry did a good job with, if Scott Perry was the one who set it up this way, with, make it, even though they brought in players, whether or not you like the players that he brought in, but doing a good job of keeping the contract short so that you can get out of those. You can get out of those contracts and those type of things. I thought he did a decent job doing that.
I'm not, you know what? I'm sorry. He drafted Knox. I'm not killing Knox. He was here in the end when they let the big guy go to Dallas. He was a part of that. He was also part of the free agency last summer. I think there was enough there to say, well, we have to move on from this guy. We could have cleaned house totally. I don't understand. I didn't understand the keeping of Perry at all.
I thought that. He also brought in Mitchell Robinson.
Mitch is not enough. Mitch is not enough to save his job. Mitch is not enough to save his job.
Hey, so can I say something?
Yeah. Go ahead, Zay.
I just want to comment. So you can't for you to say to fire him because we didn't get KD, who basically followed Kyrie. You can't really say that. That's a free agent. You can only do so much to a free agent, and that's up to them. That's their decision. I think Scott Perry's good, man. Personally, I know some people don't like him, but I think he has respect around the league. I think he's well respected. He has ties to many different organizations. He has drafted well, and he's drafted bad, which every GM has done. So I think we got to give Scott Perry a chance that he's not under Steve Mills. Don't forget that Steve Mills is the one that wanted to keep Marcus Morris and sign him to an extension when Scott Perry wanted to give wanted to trade him. First of all, let's be very clear. This will tell you about Steve Mills and his legacy with MSG. He had a player on a 1-year contract a 29-year-old or 30-year-old, and he was going to get a first-round pick for it. But he wasn't going to do it because he wanted to extend him because the dude liked being a Knick. When you had Scott Perry arguing with him because he wanted to trade a dude that's on a one-year contract for a first-round pick.
Right.
So people that's common sense. You don't keep a dude that's almost 30 with a young team if you can get a first-round pick for him. Any smart person that knows basketball would do that, 10 out of 10. We had a dude in Steve Mills that didn't want to do that because Marcus Morris liked being a Knick.
And also, Isaiah, too, didn't Scott Perry want to trade Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr. for Malik Monk and something? And a first-round pick?
I don't know if that. I mean, there was a rumor out there that they wanted to trade Julius Randle for Malik Monk and something. I don't know if it was Scott Perry or Steve Mills.
But I don't know if that's true, but I'll be honest with you. I really believe I want to see Scott Perry without Steve Mills because I do think Steve Mills was holding it right. Now, I won't say Perry was perfect because he did bring Alfred Payton. Now, that was his guy. But again, he's a GM. GMs, I think I want people to understand that when you're working like a GM, every pick is not going to be an A+. He's going to have some C+. He's going to even have some Fs and Ds. But we got to give this dude a chance that he's not with Steve Mills no more, holding him back. So I would want to see Scott Perry work under this regime rather than work with Steve Mills. So I personally like Scott Perry. I think he will be better off with us now versus when he was with Steve Mills. So I want to give him a chance. Well, he's going to get a chance. So there's no point in even saying that.
Yeah, and I think, yes, he signed like he did it with Mario Hezonja. I think that was a guy that, he had in Orlando, Alfred Payton. He brought him in, but he kept it like with Alfred Payton. If they waive him now, it's October the 17th. They waive him by October the 17th. They no longer have his contract. Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis, all those guys. You waive them, you no longer have the contract. So essentially, it's like a 1 year. Okay, let's see if this works out or not.
And we needed a veteran point guard. Yeah. We needed a veteran point guard on the roster.
So but hey, my man, I appreciate the call, man.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro. Be safe out there. And it's tough because most people, I think, and I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people like, what the hell the Knicks doing? But I think a lot of people were like, you know what? They, looked at the roster and thought that the Knicks did a decent job over the summer. It didn't work out. I mean, most people going into the season, I thought felt not that the Knicks were going to be this playoff juggernaut, but thought that they did a decent job in bringing in players. Of course, there was the whole thing about them getting so many power forwards, but thought that they did a decent job of getting in players and understanding the how the contract situations were set up as well.
Right. So you had dudes like Adrian. You had Woj. I remember vividly he gave the Knicks like a B+ during the summer. It was like the Knicks move the Knicks made were good move. People, it's so funny how when the Knicks started playing bad, look at the Knicks, But I remember during the summer when we didn't get KD, everybody was praising the Knicks for saying, "Oh man, they had a good plan B." People thought it was so the people kill me with that, man. So okay, yeah, we get it. I mean, again, for some odd reason, Sim, this is the part that killed me this summer, right? People who talk about positionless basketball. So we signed power forwards that can play power forward and center. But the whole joke was that we signed power forwards, which I guess, whatever. But it's just like people kill me, man. The Knicks got praised when we did that. But, it's the Knicks, so it's going to be LOL no matter what.
Caller, give me 1 second. Let me shout out a couple of super chats and let me get to you, all right? Ishmael Rivas, thank you for the super chat. He said, great show. I appreciate it. He said, RJ will have a great second year. He'll average 22 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shoot 75% from the free throw line, 38% from three, and 45% from the field. He said that's his prediction. That'd be lovely.
Yeah,
that would be lovely. That would be lovely.
I agree. Pin that.
But check it. I mean, if he shoots 75% from the free throw line and 38% from three, he'll average that easy. Easy. If he shoots 75% and 38%, he'll average that easy. And it's maybe not even too far-fetched to think about it. It's not too far-fetched.
He was in the top 10 in the league of fouls. He gets fouls called for him like he's a superstar. RJ draws fouls like a superstar. So if he could hit 75% of his free throws.
No. He's supposed to draw fouls. RJ
no, he does. Statistically. Look it up, Guillermo. You got the computer in front of you. Go ahead, look it up.
Yeah, he get the same amount of calls as Donovan Mitchell.
No, what I'm saying is that RJ does not get, well, put like this, it's actually a credit to RJ. He doesn't get many of the fouls that he's supposed to be getting. But
no, he doesn't, but he still gets enough where if he was a 75% free throw shooter, he would easily jump up to 18 to 20 points a night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, because he goes to the line 4.5 times a game.
Yeah. He can get to the line.
RJ will leave 8 to 12 points on the free throw line every night. Like, ridiculous.
Because he uses his body. He's crafty. Like, he's not super athletic, but he's really crafty. So he uses his body well to draw those fouls. And again, Ishmael, thinking for Super Chat, he said for the draft, the Knicks should draft Killian Hayes and power forward Jalen Smith. Free agents, they should sign Danilo Gallinari, trade Randall and Payton for CP3 and hire Atkinson. That's his offseason.
Wow.
That's Ishmael's offseason.
Hey man, everybody should go look at my video on Sportscaster.
Oh boy, here we go. Another shameless plug. Another shameless plug.
Go to bed.
This guy.
Get that man a nightlight.
This guy.
Listen,
and then Justin Hernandez.
Yeah,
my man Justin Hernandez. Thank you for the super chats earlier. He was in the chat. I don't know. You know, he usually tries to join in while he's at work, so sometimes he has to get back out to work. But Caller, you live. What's pop?
Hey, what's going on, Sam? Thanks for picking up my call, man.
Definitely appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to people in the super chat and also in the comments. You know, you got a great group of guys and all that.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
we're good.
I was listening to you guys talk about Knox, and I don't know how to start the conversation, but I kind of agree with what Guillermo was saying.
Guillermo.
And I agree with, Guillermo. And also what you were saying. So I just want to make my point in why I think we need Tibbs. Because Guillermo, I believe, is he's tough on Knox, which he's right. I think you need a tough coach, which I mentioned to you before, like a player like a coach like Tibbs, or Eric Spoelstra, who's also doing good with Bam Adebayo in Miami, another Kentucky player. I feel like that's another reason why Tibbs will thrive, will push and be tough on Knox and raise his standards, like the standards that Guillermo is talking about. Like, hey, man, you do something right. You do shoot the ball right, or you do this right, but you are doing X, Y, Z, and all that extra stuff wrong. And you need to push him. I think you need to push him. And that's why that's why I jumped ship out of Atkinson. It's because you need tough coaches. And it's a tough league, which is what Guillermo was saying. Hey, listen, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and he's right about that. And I think you understand that. And you're right. It's not linear. The game is not, development is not linear, but Knox is the type of person you need to push. You need to push him and push him and push him and push him.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I do think Julius Randle is the same way. He is. You can see he's hardworking, but there are areas where you need to get at him and say, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, and you need to be tough and show them tough love, and be a leader. And that's why I think Tibbs is the right coach. And this is why I was like, listen, last time I called, this is why we need Tibbs. Or you need a Eric Spoelstra. And look, I don't know if it was today or was it yesterday, you were talking about Doc Rivers. These players, it's a tough league. You need tough love, and you need direction. And then the players are not going to develop themselves, like you're saying. He's doing the best he's doing the best he can. But at the end of the day, David Fizdale wasn't a tough coach, and I don't think you got that much out of Knox. And that is why, like, please.
So you don't think Kenny Atkinson is? You don't think he's tough enough, or will be?
I'm all in on toughness. If you're not tough, coach, if people don't respect you, and people don't, people know they can walk all over you, you're not holding them to a higher standard. You're not pushing Knox to a higher. You're not pushing Dennis Smith Jr. to a higher standard. You're not pushing Frank Ntilikina to a higher level in his offense. Then you're not going to get that much. You're not going to get that much results. It's a tough league. You need tough coaches. You got to. So just like, I'm just pushing what Guillermo was saying about the whole, it's a tough league. More reason why you need a tough coach. Okay, it's not. You don't want to get a okay coach. You want to get a tough coach, and you want to push these players to a level that a level they can get to. It's not going to just happen off being a good guy.
Like Jim Boylan in Chicago. Like Jim Boylan in Chicago, like a real tough dude to push some young players.
Jim Boylan sucks.
Okay. Hold on. Let him finish. He can hear you.
No, look, I get it. Look, but at the end of the day, Eric Spoelstra is tough and he's respected in Miami, and there was a lot of how do you say news about how Bam was complaining, man, Spoelstra's really tough on me. But look how he's on his third year and he's already all-star, almost all-star level. He's on 3 years. So that's just what I'm saying. Enough with these good guys, David Fizdale, which, look, when you tell me Kenny Atkinson, I hear David Fizdale. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't want that no more. I want somebody who's tough off the gate.
But how do you quantify a tough coach? What is your eye test for saying a coach is tough? Because for me, I've seen these guys. I feel like they've already been hard on Knox. Knox makes a mistake.
Okay, I'm ready to answer. A tough coach is somebody who has a reputation where that I've seen him build, helped out his. He has coached Derrick Rose. He has coached Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson, who is with the Knicks now, and who is still a great veteran for the Knicks. Karl Anthony Towns. He's been coaching him for 3 or 4 years. He's a top 10 player in the league. So I've seen he has a resume where he's like, listen, man, I don't just coach your everyday player. I'm not coaching these they're not regular players in this league. They're top level players, which Knox has that potential. He came out of the league, out of Kentucky with a lot of promise. So I feel like Tom Thibodeau, at least for 2 or 3 years, I believe he can get the most out of him. He needs to be held to a high standard. Julius Randle needs that too. This is not no freak. This is not no X and O's no more. This is building these guys up, character. These are character flaws, I believe. Okay. That needs to be,
Right. See, to me, a tough coach is a coach that holds you accountable. I feel like Kenny Atkinson will hold players accountable. I don't know, everything that happened with Kyrie and KD, to me, that's more probably politics than anything. And Kyrie Irving not wanting to go along with the program that Kenny Atkinson was trying to put in place. I kind of feel like Kenny Atkinson can be that coach that holds you accountable. To me, I don't feel like, a tough coach is just hollering, screaming, and yelling. I'm not saying that's all Tibbs does, but that's what he's, that's what you see, right? That's what you see. I don't think that that's necessarily a tough coach, just to hollering and screaming and yelling, holding you accountable. You don't have to holler and scream to hold somebody accountable. You know what I'm saying? You can hold somebody accountable by just saying, oh, you didn't do it? Good. Go sit down. Somebody else will do it.
Do we feel like
I don't know if Kenny Atkinson, he had a good stint in Brooklyn, but I don't think his resume is better than Tibbs. I mean, Jimmy Butler is a top player. Karl Anthony Towns, I think he can continue to build these kind of players. I don't think he's going to stop.
Yeah.
I think and obviously Kevin Knox needs it, and obviously Julius Randle needs it. That was about it. I don't know what else to say about, that was my whole thing,
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate the call, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for picking up my call. Thank you.
Look, I think that Kevin Knox, you asked the question, I think that Kevin Knox has been held accountable. Maybe he needs to be pushed more. Maybe that's what he's saying. Maybe he needs to be pushed more. I don't know. But I think he's been held accountable.
You're not about to tell me that a professional basketball player I don't care how old or young he is not being pushed. He's being pushed. Kevin Knox is not the kind of guy that you can ride like a horse. He's going to get small, and that's what we're seeing.
Okay.
We watch them bring. That's what they've been doing. They've been holding him accountable. One mistake he gets yanked. Him and Frank are the main two whipping posts when it comes to they can't make any mistakes or they get yanked from the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you see him get small and do the drop the head and clap the hands crap because he knows, damn it, I'm about to get pulled.
Yeah.
He doesn't have enough. He needs a Fizdale. The problem is each of our guys needs something different.
Yeah.
He needs a Fizdale.
He don't need a Fizdale.
Yeah, now listen, Fizdale, I'm not saying he needs Fizdale as a head coach. Fizdale would be a great assistant coach. So the head coach can be the browbeater and the back, the clipboard breaker and all of that. And after he gets browbeaten by the head coach, Fizdale puts his arm around him and says, "Hey, look, young fella, you gotta let that wash off." And he points out the flaws in his game to say, "This is what's gonna make you better the next time you get on the court."
Right.
And he can accept that from him in a way more palatable way and still understand the standards that are being set from up above. The problem was we made an assistant coach our head coach, and the players that need that strong alpha kind of guy walked all over Fizdale, and the guys who like Knox who needed that coddling couldn't get it because he wasn't able to get the minutes because the alphas were like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Right, and so to your example, Bob Knight won 3 national championships in 40 years, right? 3 national championships in 40 years, and the dude had, I think they said he had like 60 players that were like, first team, all college, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you need, a dude that's gonna be fighting and brimstone. And to Knox, I think Knox is quiet money. Everybody is not gonna be, the RJ Barrett, rah guy, the Barker. You know what I'm saying? Knox is quiet money. You know what I'm saying? He just needs time to, he's his own type person. Trying to make people into something that they're not is what makes people bust. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why, we struggle so much with young players. Every first round pick we get, the fans, want to anoint them as the savior of the franchise. Why not let them develop at, push the pace, but not try to make them into something that Knox is quiet money. If he was to start coming out being something that he's not, then we start calling him phony. You know what I'm saying? Knox is he's not the overly, vocal type guy. You know what I'm saying? Just develop his game instead of trying to make him into, a Jimmy Butler. You know what I'm saying? Kawhi Leonard is not, a overly vocal guy, and he's one of the best players in the game. You know what I'm saying? People say we keep saying, man, push Knox and push his stuff.
We do it with Frank, right? Where we want Frank to marry his international game to American game, right? And because we don't have coaches who run, more of a lot of the off-road pick and roll type of offenses that we saw him do, or pick and pop that we saw him do well with KP, we want Frank to be more aggressive, right? So we can't do it where we're saying Frank has to be this, that we have to get the right coach to do this and that, but then on the flip side say, Knox, we need the right coach for him here and there. You know what I mean? Again, as much as I want Knox to do well, this is a dog-eat-dog world because every other year, somebody's getting drafted. And I actually fear this for Knox. As a Knicks fan, I want what's best for the Knicks. But I hate seeing young guys kind of burn out because you hear these horror stories of these kids becoming drug addicts or becoming overweight, depressed. I hate that type of stuff, man. I don't want it where we draft some other kid in the second round. We draft a kid who's like just as good as, say, Mitch Robinson at the 4 in terms of production. And now Knox is pushed out. You know what I mean? And Knox didn't get it. You know what I mean? Knox, it just wasn't there for him, right? We can't depend on time. Like, time is not going to wait for us. We have to be. I with the call saying, I agree with Light and saying you need certain guys being certain areas. So this is where the assistant coaches are very important, right? You can have the good cop, bad cop, right? That works really well in certain situations where you have one guy, and then there's somebody, Knox, you good, don't worry about it. Look, you just got to do this, got to do that. So then he grows into being able to filter out what the rah coach is saying, process it, and still get that confidence or that assurance from the other coach. That's what the Knicks can do a better job at, even if we don't hire the type of head coach that would be straight per. Because we have different guys in this team. RJ Barrett, I think he's the type of guy that if you gave him Tibbs, he will run through a wall for Tibbs. But some of the guys, like say maybe a Randall, who's not defense is not his forte, and playing hard and hustling is not his forte, he may want more of a veteran coach. He might want a Tyronn Lue who's just going to be like, oh yeah, do whatever, yeah, great, LeBron. You know what I mean? So we got to get. I think at this point we have to get the proper. But then again, on Knox, 19 years old, it is tough. I'm not saying he's grown enough or mature, whatever, blah, blah. But when you're getting paid millions of dollars, the NBA is ruthless. They don't give a damn. So for Knox has to find a medium. If it's his father, if it's other players, trainers, if it's their parents, he has to find a support system that he could go to. Maybe outside. Maybe when he sees RJ talking with Steve Nash, hey, yo, RJ, can I just pick Steve Nash's brain a little bit, man? I'm having trouble here, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but Knox has to be more Knox. Because what we're doing here, we're all saying, we hope the road moves, right? We're trying to fix the road so the car can move. What I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to see ways to get the car moving. So regardless of how the road is, the car is going to keep moving regardless. So,
I mean, that's one thing I definitely agree. We got all players with different kind of personalities, and what's going to work with one person is not going to work with another. I mean, it's just like anytime you get a group of people together on a team, in a classroom, anything, what I'm saying? Every person has their own personality, and you've got to you've got to reach that person kind of where they are with their personality in order to get through to them. And sometimes you need several different people to do that. This is where I think that Mike Woodson would be a good assistant coach. You know what I'm saying? I think he's that fatherly figure type of guy that, like you said, can put his arm around any one of the players and say, hey, this is what you got to do. Do-do-do. Or, like Mike Woodson can take on, from what I've seen, just, when he was the coach of the Knicks, seems like he can take on, kind of a different, having a different approach with different players. He seems like that kind of guy that can do that, what I'm saying, and understand what different players need and be able to provide that. That's why I think he would be a really, really good assistant coach. Now, obviously, the head coach, they've got to pick who they want to be their assistant coach, but I think he would be a good guy to have on this team. I think he'd be a really good guy to have on this team.
Hashtag Kenny and Woody.
Hashtag Kenny and Woody.
Oh, God. Look, the thing is, though, we're wrapped up in which coach is this. I feel like these coaches, we put a lot of stock in what they've done. At the end of the day, they're only as good as the players they had.
Well, that's true.
It's real easy to say, oh, Tibbs is this tough defensive-minded first coach. He had tough defensive-minded players. That's what he had. And that's why when he went to Minnesota, he tried to go get all them dudes back. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to the players. And that's where Guillermo is 100% correct. Kevin Knox has got to get it together. He has to take advantage of the opportunities he gets. It sucks that his opportunities were diminished. Because like I said before, when you go back to the beginning of last season, Knox was talking like he was ready to be a leader. He was calling rookies the young guys. He was like, us vets. He said, us vets are going to show these young guys how to do it, right?
Yeah, he sure did.
I remember that.
And peep it, when the season started, it came out like, Kevin Knox turned a corner. He was hitting jump shots. He looked confident. Mm-hmm. He was moving and grooving. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Marcus Morris sunned him in practice one day, and he was like, from that point on, he just was second fiddle or what. But
it's Steve Mills. It's Steve Mills. Steve Mills told that roster that it was a playoff roster, and it wasn't.
Well, but I mean, yeah, but it was. He did come off like that. I think part of it with, like you said, Kevin Knox is he's a guy that has self-confidence. You know what I'm saying? Part of it is him maturing.
But it looks like that's how it looks.
That's how it looks. Right. That's how it looks. That's how it looks, right? We can't say for sure anything because we're not there, but that's how it looks. And I think a lot of that has to do with just growing up and maturing. Some guys mature and get a little tougher earlier. Some guys, maybe it takes longer. I think, a lot with him, I think he's like, he may be the same age as someone that's 20 chronologically, but emotionally, maybe not 20. You know what I'm saying? I think he's, I think maybe he needs to mature a little bit. But look, I'm gonna head out of here, man. It's 2 a.m. It is 2 a.m.
Hey, Sam, I wanted to
out.
say one thing, Sam.
Oh God.
If you're talking about your Sports Center thing, you already said it. I mean,
No,
Sportscaster, you already
not,
said it. You already said it, so don't
it's
say
not
it.
even that. Yo, it's not even that, man.
Right.
Is that the pillows? Come
That's
on.
what I'm saying. That's the pillows,
It's
man.
pillows, man. But no, I did want to say this though, Sam. Seriously though, I'm
You
very
look like you're in the
proud.
hospital, yo.
Hey, okay, man. All right, you got one more left. All right, look. Now, I did want to say, Sam, on a really, really good note. I'm proud of that young man, Tom Maker's little brother. I forgot his name. But he decided to go to HBCU, and I know another prospect is going to HBCU too, and I'm very excited to see that movement of young, brothers going to HBCUs, to play college basketball. I'm very proud of that, and that should not be overlooked because I think that's going to start something. And it's really important that they go to HBCUs, man. So really proud of that. So I just wanted to say that.
And so I just got one more thing to say, man, real quick. Hey, if y'all think I'm mad at y'all about how y'all treat Kevin Knox, if we coming back on Monday, I got something for y'all with Dennis Smith Jr. So y'all better bring y'all A game. Because I'm really hot up with y'all about how y'all treating Dennis Smith Jr. Talking about just throw him in a willy-nilly trade. So I got beef with y'all.
If you can get a bag of chips, for him, that's a good trade.
Hey, okay, well, all right.
All right, we'll see. Hey. We'll have some conversations about Dennis Smith Jr.
Be ready to start it.
James shouldn't have gotten released. Dogs, you can't bring up every underperforming Knick and say
no, that's what we have to do, man. That's what we got to do.
Nah, people just hate us. They really undercover Knicks fans. Talk about the Knicks fans eating it young.
Oh, man.
All right, so let's get some.
All
right, let's get some last words. Freezy got his. Isaiah got his. Guillermo, you got some last words?
Yeah, man. To the people saying that we're hating on Knox, we're literally just assessing his career. Again, I wish nothing but the best for the dude. Why would I want a Knick player to do bad? It would make no sense. I just, I don't know. With Knox, is just, maybe the military training, being very, forthright and all that stuff. Maybe that's a detriment to his attitude or whatever, but somebody got to put that boost in it. If you got to get a veteran to come in next year, maybe not take up the minutes like Morris, which could have hurt him, but get somebody to kind of invigorate him, draw that fire out of him. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. I hope that the dude does well. The dude does well. Hopefully, RJ Barrett's personality is infectious on him, and the coach that comes in can also bring him up. So, you know what I mean? But for Knox, man, this game is ruthless, bro. That's all I can say. I hope you do well. I want you to do well. I want you to be 18-8 off of 45% shooting from the field, 40% from the three. I want you to be a beast for the Knicks and make everybody look at it like, oh, yeah, they made the right pick. You know what I mean? I want us to get ESPN and Fox Sports angry because you're doing well. So that's all I got to say.
Right. Light?
Facts. Word of my bed.
Man, at this point, all I want to see, my biggest hope is that they allow these guys to grow, that the Knicks have I don't care who they pick. I just hope that they decide on a group of guys. I hope that they hold true to whatever young guys they want to move forward with, get rid of the excess and just go for it. Like if they don't want Knox, just get rid of him. If you don't want Barrett, get rid of him. You don't want Mitch, get rid of him. But make a decision and stick to it. That's what I want to see. I ain't get to say about RJ. All RJ need to do is hit his free throws, period. Like everything else he'll get that together. But if he can become a solid, he needs to sit down with Nash, have Nash teaching the Zen secret on the free throw line, and if he can do that, he will rival some guys, and he'll make a lot of people eat their words on saying because I've heard a lot of reports about him being a potential bust or closer to being a bust than a success, and all of that will go out the window if he starts making free throws.
Yeah. What percentage you want from him? What free throw percentage you want from him?
I mean, in a perfect world, I'd like to see it up around 80%. But I'll settle for high 70s, mid to high 70s. I'll settle for just because of how bad he's been this season, and I don't want to be, overzealous with my expectations. But I would love to see him up around 80%. But for next season, I'm thinking 70-ish range would be a good spot for him to be in.
Okay. All right, Andy.
The blackest of us all.
I want to, support Guillermo on the hate on Kevin Knox thing that the chat is saying. I don't think we're hating. We're just assessing him, and nobody's saying any lies here. So we want him to be good, and nobody's giving up on him. So just want to get that straight out, And also, I feel that fans need that one player on the team they love, that they do the hard love. They have the hard love, right? They a little bit hate him even. So I think it's Knox's turn, because it was DSJ, but about the passing of his mother-in-law and stuff like that. I think he got a pass on this season, and he didn't get the playing time that Knox had. If DSJ would have the playing time, I think we would be talking about DSJ now, not Knox. I just feel that way, that the fan base needs a player to knock on. So that was that. And if Isaiah is still alive, man, Isaiah, I need that recipe for that smoked chicken, man.
Oh, man. It's not smoked chicken, man.
He said he had one more for you.
Andy. Well, I just want to say this right now. Me and Andy are going to be doing a collab video really soon.
Yeah, and I'm doing it only for the free advertisement, Sim, so... You know how Isaiah plugs it in every now and then.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hashtag smoke chicken.
Sim, you see what you started, man? I'm comfortable in my bed, and y'all just doing this to me. Listen, I'm going to say this right now. I'm doing my next episode on Sportscaster Wednesday in my bed. Smoked chicken.
Hashtag 420 chicken.
Dude,
right.
How's he still up? It's 2 a.m.
I don't know what he's doing.
Something about a chef, and he burned it down.
Isaiah, why you talking to a grown man with covers on you? This thing.
Pause.
Ain't that much pause in the world, dog. Ain't that much pause, man.
I just want to say this is the best sports channel.
The G is for gangster.
And he's still showing that comforter. Get out of here.
First of all, it's not a comforter. I said a comforter.
Look, you can't even speak. Go to bed. Go to bed.
You better say that's a blanket, dog. If you say that's a blanket, then I promise you.
Looking like Linus. Go to bed.
Wait. So we all don't sleep with blankets? They don't sleep with blankets?
Yeah, but we not on the stream with our blankets on, man.
That's right.
Go to bed.
That's a great point.
Hey, listen.
You got flowers on it, too. You got a blanket with flowers on it.
Come on. Them your grandma sheets, ain't it?
Right.
First of all,
yo, his mattress ain't got no sheet on it.
Yes, I do got a sheet. You sound crazy. You sound crazy. Anybody? I got
on the mattress.
Hey, listen. Good night, y'all. We out, y'all. We gonna talk to y'all later, man.
Oh man. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for being on, man. Y'all crazy because it's 2:00 in the morning. You still it's 241 people still. It's 2:00 in the morning. Y'all crazy. I don't know. Y'all nuts. But no Hawks fans. No.
Ain't nobody doing this out there, but nobody's doing this.
No, none of them Chicago bubble teams is doing this, but
we don't like copycats.
All right.
Hey,
good night, guys.
Next stream, everybody got to be on the blankets.
Yeah. No doubt. Big shout out to 23 Blade, man. He said Light is speaking facts. He gave a shout out to Light. He said Kenny, Woody, and Miller. That's this tandem. We're going to see what happens late July, man. I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for being here. It's a fun show. And be easy, man. Have a good weekend.